How's it going, everybody? Welcome here to week 11. Hope you had a good spring break. The last kind of last more like 1 month left to go here. Just kind of some news. Before we get into this week's material, epic essays I've returned. Good job overall. Really good summaries. Good historical context of what the epic is, where it was, when, where, how it was composed. And then a lot of really good job with the cultural significance stuff. I think most people got those three sections put out pretty well. I guess one of the sort of overarching feedbacks I gave was use of primary source. Right, you got to use some quotes from the epic itself. Some people did; it was great. Some people used some quotes but didn't put the page numbers in there. But take a look at that. And if you look at the student resources section there, you'll see there's epic essay revision protocols, procedures. Anyone can revise their epic essay for no matter what score you got on it. You can return it, resubmit it, a revised version. Just kind of go through those steps there. You have to make an appointment with somebody from Keelahana or the Learning Center. Both links are there within the protocols. Take the guidelines, the epic essay guidelines, and my paper with the comments on it with you to that meeting. They'll go over it and you can kind of see where the improvements, what you need revised from there. So again, it can be up to all the way up to 50 points. So if you want to do it, and it's due at the end of the semester, sometime between now and the final. So it's open to anyone. Anyone can revise it. In fact, revising is part of the writing process. So now you have a pretty finalized version. If you want to, just a few little tweaks here and there with anyone's paper can really make it, polish it right up. So that's that. The other thing I kind of wanted to talk about too is, since we're almost to the end of the semester, I think it's kind of a nice time to take a little reflect back. And that's kind of what this framework that we're using at Hawaii Community College is all about. This HUA, or what was your purpose? What's your purpose for being at Hawaii Community College? This egg, if you will. And has that changed over the semester or over the course of the year? Kind of be thinking about that, or is there, so reflect back on a sort of broader scale. But we're also at the Huaka'i. We're in the middle of this journey here, and I put a few questions there to maybe think about. Just something that you've accomplished. I mean, if you just take a couple minutes and just reflect, what's one thing you've accomplished? It's always good to remind yourselves that you've had a busy semester. You've done a lot of stuff. What's something you can take away from that? What's something good you've something you're proud of? And then conversely, what is something you still need to accomplish? And it doesn't have to be this class particularly. It could be any class. What do you need to do to push through to really get those last few paddles to the end of the semester? And then the other thing too, to maybe think about is when this semester's over, what's something you can take away from world history and share with other people? I mean, you've spent 16 weeks in this class, so be thinking about that. I mean, that's one whole point of gaining knowledge, is to share it, right, and pass it on. So is there something from world history that you could that you can take and bring back to your communities, friends, family? I learned this. It's really interesting this semester. So for me, one thing I've accomplished is I've really, this Lamaku has been kind of a challenge on my end to kind of figure everything out, but I feel like I've done it as satisfactorily. Probably need to do a little bit more. One thing I still need to accomplish. There's some things. Kind of one thing I'm working through right now is sort of assessments for these classes, which is sort of administrative stuff. But I've got to finish that. That's my last thing I still need to accomplish. And then world history stuff. I was thinking about that. I always learn something new every semester. This semester, actually, I found it really, hopefully you had a chance to look at it, but this really cool site on Pompeii that, I gave a link back in the Roman, in the Mediterranean world one that I thought that was really cool. I spent quite a bit of time poking around Pompeii. So so I can share that. And then that brings us to this week. So this week's pretty straightforward. Islam. One, we're looking at the religion. It's the last of the world religions that we're going to learn about. So maybe you could even think about, what are the different world religions. We've covered Christianity, how it sort of started in this Roman world and then became imperial religion in the Byzantine world. Buddhism we've talked about and how it spread. We'll talk a little bit more about the spread of Buddhism next week with classical China and in East Asia. Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, we talked about as well, kind of in the beginning, and the Mesopotamian worlds. Islam we're filling in. Shintoism we've talked about. So we've covered quite a bit of the world religions there in Islam. So talks about Muhammad. Go through the lectures. That he got got Angel Gabriel revealed the Quran to him. I gave some readings there, the Quran, I get a couple passages from the Quran just to get a sense of what it's about. And again, if you read that stuff, I tried to pick out ones that are themes that we've already talked about. I think the Quranic passage is creation. Right? We have the Genesis book and the Bible. Again, Islam sees itself in this as part of this Abrahamic world, right? That Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all the same God. Allah, God, Yahweh are the same, from the same tradition. They just see that Muhammad is the last prophet, whereas Christians see Jesus as the prophet, the Son of God. And Jewish communities, there's a Messiah to come, but it hasn't come yet. So kind of how it's all related. So, but the Quran one is praise of Allah or praise of God, and then the creation stuff there. So it's kind of themes we've talked about. And then the Hadith, which is a little bit different. It's the sayings of Muhammad. Again, I think the parallel there I thought kind of interesting is Confucianism. It's sort of this question answer that this person's asking how to be a good person. And if you look at the answers by Muhammad, they're very similar to other answers in people that we've encountered. So that's Islam, some history back there, and then these early Islamic empires as well. That quickly as Islam unified the Arab world, and then those Arabians started to move out and establish these far-flung empires. And if you remember back, if you were able to watch the Byzantine video, towards the end of that video, they talk about that the Byzantines and the Persians were sort of at war. So there was this void that these Arabs moved into and took over the Middle East all the way into Spain. And then ultimately the Umayyad was sort of this 100 years of consolidating. The Abbasid is Umayyad is expansion. During the Abbasid dynasty, you really have this consolidation of Muslim empires. And then you have these, they're really known or very well known for sort of this flourishing thought of the Abbasid world with math, with science, with literature. So for about 500 years, from about 750 to about 1200, this Abbasid empire back in Baghdad. So now we've come full circle. We started in Mesopotamia, and now we've kind of in Babylon. Now we're back there with Baghdad and the Abbasid. So I think that's everything there. Discussion questions. Just kind of pick one topic that you're interested in. Either talk about the history of Islam or expand a little more on Islamic empires. Or the last one, Rumi, which I kind of like, this sort of Sufism. Read these poems by Rumi. Sufism is sort of the mystical branch of Islam. Where not so much the Quran or the Hadith, but these sort of this love of God and religion is all you need. So I gave Rumi, and I gave Khan. Ali Khan is a very famous Muslim singer from Pakistan, which kind of gives you an ear of what this devotional music is all about. I think that's it. Great. Have a good rest of your week.